In this problem, we are looking at the integral from 0 to the square root of 3 of 6 square root of x squared plus 1. So we're going to use trigonometric integration on this. So since we're doing that, let's look at this chart to see which one we should use. So looking inside the square root, the integral contains, and which one of these cases does it look like? Well, it looks like this one to me, the x squared plus the a squared. The 1 is the a, right? Okay, so the substitution we're going to look at is x equals a tangent theta, where a is equal to 1. Okay, so we'll say x is equal to tangent theta, dx is equal to secant squared theta, d theta. Okay, and now if we want to do the limits on this, we'll first need to solve this for theta. So I could take the inverse tangent of both sides here. If I take the inverse tangent of both sides, I get tangent inverse of x is equal to theta. Okay, then I can just plug in my old limits in here. So I'll write limits here. That's what I'm getting for my integral. Okay, so I plug in tangent inverse of 0. Okay, and if I plug in a 0, that gives me a 0. And if I do tangent inverse of root 3, that gives me pi over 3. Okay, so those will be my new limits. Okay, so I'm going to set up the integral with this replacing x and these with my new limits. So this will be equal to the integral, my new limits, 0 to pi over 3. Okay, and then I'll put the 6 out front. And then this will be the square root. Instead of x squared plus 1, it'll be tangent squared theta plus 1. Okay, and then the dx I'll replace with secant squared theta d theta. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at is that this, if you know your trig identities, is equal to secant squared. Secant squared is equal to tangent squared plus 1. So I can change this 6, 0 to pi over 3, over 3, okay, of the square root of secant squared theta times secant squared theta d theta. So what happens when we square root a square? Well, it's just left with a secant. So this will be 6 times 0 to pi over 3. And this is secant, once the square root and the square cancel out, times secant squared. So it'll end up being secant cubed theta d theta. Okay, so if you want to know how to integrate secant cubed theta, I have a video for that. I will link it in the description of this video. Okay, so it's integration by parts, and there's a video for that I just made. Okay, so the integral for this is going to be equal to 6, that's the 6 from here, okay, times 1/2 secant theta tangent theta plus 1/2 ln of the absolute value of secant theta plus tangent theta. Okay, so when I distribute the 6 to both of these, that'll give them both a 3. So we get 3 secant theta tangent theta plus 3 ln of secant theta plus tangent theta. Okay, so that is the integral, and I forgot to put in my limits of integration, so let's do that here. 0 to pi over 3, 0 to pi over 3. Okay, so that's the answer, but we do need to plug in our limits to see what we get. So when we plug in our limits, first let's write what we get when we plug in each one. So what is secant of pi over 3? Secant of pi over 3 is equal to 2. What is tangent of pi over 3? Well, tangent of pi over 3 is equal to root 3. What is secant of 0? Well, that's equal to 1. And then what is tangent of 0? Well, that's equal to 0. So that will help us when we plug in our limits here. So let's go ahead and plug them in. So we get first the upper limit, the pi over 3. Okay, so I get 3 secant of pi over 3 tangent of pi over 3, okay, plus 3 ln absolute value of secant of pi over 3 plus tangent of pi over 3. Okay, that's the upper limit. And now I do minus, I'm out of room here, so I'll write it down here, minus, and I'm putting in parentheses because the whole second part is getting subtracted, and it'll be minus, let's see, 3 secant 0, tangent 0, plus 3 ln of secant of 0 plus tangent of 0. Okay, now I'm going to replace these secants and tangents with their answers that we got up here. So secant of pi over 3 is 2, so this is 2. Tangent of pi over 3 is root 3, so I'll put a root 3 there. This one is 2. Okay, so secant of pi over 3 is 2, and then tangent of pi over 3 is root 3. Okay, and on this next part, okay, secant of 0 is 1. Didn't mean to cross out the 3, but it doesn't matter because tangent of 0 is 0, so this whole thing zeroes out. Okay, and then secant of 0 again is 1, and tangent of 0 is 0. So this will leave you here with ln of 1, which is also 0. So this entire second part, all of it turns into 0. Okay, so our answer will be the 3 here times the 2 here times the root 3 plus 3 ln, the absolute value of 2 plus root 3. And if I clean this part up right here, that gives me 6 root 3 plus 3 ln of 2 plus root 3. Okay. And remember, if you want to know how to integrate secant cube theta, it is linked in the description.